Is this a bubble?
Well, thanks for having me on your program. And of course, that is the question that people are asking when things like this just go, parabolic, to use a word that captures the imagination. People wonder, how long can this go on? And they start comparing it to the past. We don't believe that it's a bubble. The underlying factor and force is the usefulness that can be gotten from these AI models, and we're only at the very, very beginning of that. Companies are having varying degrees of success at implementing these, and the compute power that's needed is prodigious. It's already been said, and all of these deals really articulate various aspects of what is going on with bringing this kind of compute to the folks and companies that need it.
But Thomas, what fundamental data are you looking at that shows productivity and revenue will be there?
Well, that's kind of the rub, is that data is not really there yet in a way that you can put your finger on it and count on it. And I think that's why you're getting some of this questioning. So a lot of what's going on is betting on the future that problems are going to be solved, and this is going to be productive. And you see that in the beginning parts of what's going on. Just anybody as a consumer who is using AI to just ask it questions about anything can see the improvement, but that's not what really is going to drive it. It's going to be very complex things driven by businesses and agents and automation that is still very much to come, and which will require more chips than we have and more connectivity that we have.
Yeah.
So the need for that compute is gigantic.
Amid supply chain headaches and worries and anxiety around China, whether or not it can keep buying some chips the US makes, more broadly, whether we'll get the rare earth metals that are needed for a lot of this supply chain, Thomas, how do you factor in the risks of geopolitical?
Well, they're very significant, and the issue with the rare earths and the magnets that they go into is that when you have one country like China that possesses a very high level, call it 70, 80%, depending on what we're talking about, of that, they have a lot of leverage to be able to shut that down if they want to, or to extract from the markets. And they know they have that power, and so does the United States. So if they decide that they're going to start using that and escalating, it will take a bigger escalation to kind of resolve that. I think what the markets are looking at is the opportunity is so great that that will not be allowed to happen.
Look, you have been managing money for a long time. I mean, even just 2014 over at Globalt. And I think, Thomas, you are kind of talking a narrative where we have to believe. You have to ultimately have hope that this all comes to bear. Is that kind of the narrative you have to talk to your own clients about, that ultimately there aren't that many tangible, fundamental data points you can use? You just have to use a product and know what productive it's made you as an individual, even if you're not paying for it.
Yeah, concepts are very difficult, and they're very easy to get excited about and to capture the imagination. But where you really get where the rubber meets the road, right, is, are they actually being used? And if you point back to the internet and to connectivity back then with the laying of fiber, et cetera, and the switches, that got ahead of itself, and it wasn't really implemented. It was easy to imagine, but the implementation took a long time to get to where we are now. But where we are now is absolutely using all of those things and is enabling this revolution. And this one is just happening a lot faster. And so, yes, you have to believe, but of course, you have to look for proof. And in the third quarter earnings, and as we go forward, that's what everybody is going to be looking for. But these deals that you just talked about are concrete evidence that real money is being put to work by a diversified number of very sophisticated and well-capitalized players.